It is Beyond the Box Score 2.0 version. The boys are back.
Little blast from the past,
Star-spangled banter. Connor, you go first.
This is going to sound completely crazy.
Win me a few more games before you start dancing. That's all I ask.
That is the difference between being good and being great.
How about that segue right there, baby?
Forward bounce, just get it out of here.
You like that?
And they let the team down on Sunday. Last call.
Good evening and welcome to Beyond the Box Score. We're running it back again here on a Friday. However you may be listening or watching, we're here on Facebook Live. Connor Priester across the screen here in Tonawanda, New York. I'm Cole Johnson in Tully, New York. It's a big weekend, Connor. Divisional round coming up. We got our lock-in scores and predictions. We had our early picks on Tuesday. We're locking it in today. And we have a guest joining us just around the corner to talk some coaching changes in the NFL, specifically the one in New York. But Connor, how are we doing today?
Man, we're only one day away from getting the divisional round out of the way, and it's exciting. I mean, we got so many good matchups, and we're going to talk about a lot later, kind of what they mean, not only just to each individual fan base, but what they mean to the league as a whole as well. I mean, there's so many storylines for all these matchups that are coming up, and it's you got the young guns battling out with Baltimore and Buffalo, but then you got the old heads going head to head with Tampa and New Orleans. So it's just, there's so many different storylines, just a lot to talk about and, a lot to break down as well. So we've got a jam-packed show, even though there's only a couple things we're going to talk about. We're going to go a little in depth with a lot of it. So I'm just excited for this show and excited to get tomorrow. I mean, one more sleep and then got to wait basically all day for Bills and Ravens. But, I'm excited. Playoff football, I mean, it's one of the best times of the year.
Yeah, one more sleep. I love the double headers on Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be fun. And like you mentioned, Connor, the young guns, the grandfathers playing potentially for the final time. You could look at every game this weekend and there's a narrative and a story for each team. And why I'm really excited, because I honestly, at this point, I don't care who comes out on top. I think there's a cool story for every team. So that's going to be fun. But you want to get rolling?
We'll get rolling. I mean, this is your floor today. You got your Star-Spangled Banter. I had mine the other show, so the floor is all yours. Let's see what you're going to open us up with.
All right, here we go. Star-Spangled Banter here on a Friday. Connor, when we were kids in school, we learned of this process called recycling and reusing. I know I'm taking you through a little tailspin here. I like to do that with you. Reusing and recycling, two different techniques, two different definitions, although they seem similar. Recycling, the definition is turning an item into raw materials which can be used again, usually for a completely new product. Reusing is using an object as it is without treatment. This reduces pollution and waste, thus making it a more sustainable process. So remember that for a minute. So recently, the Dallas Cowboys decided to move on from their defensive coordinator, Mike Nolan, as expected. They now have recently fired Atlanta head coach Dan Quinn. You might wonder how a head coach who only had 2 winning seasons, one of which ending in blowing a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl, making it the biggest Super Bowl comeback ever, on the wrong side of it, gets another chance at being an NFL coach. He got fired after an 0-5 start this year. See, the NFL does seem to reuse and recycle a lot of its coaches. Guys get fired and somehow they end up back in a different role on another franchise shortly after. Mike McCarthy, for example, took a year off, came back. Doug Peterson will end up with a job soon. He'll be somewhere else soon. But you have to look at the resume. Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator for Seattle during both Super Bowl runs, 2013 and 14. He has the Legion of Boom. That's what got him the Falcons job. He can run a defense. This is an example of reusing a coach. Using the coach, reusing him without treatment. You're not changing him. He's just being put back in his element of being a defensive coordinator. It eliminates waste. It's sustainable. He'll probably do a much better job than Mike Nolan did in Dallas. Now we all know there were 7 teams looking for a new head coach for the 2021 season. And what do you know? The 2 worst teams in the league were the first 2 teams to hire a new one, New York and Jacksonville. New York hires Robert Saleh, former defensive coordinator for San Francisco. Jacksonville hires Urban Meyer, proven college coach, one of the best ever, hasn't stepped in the NFL yet. You know, when teachers set up stations in their classroom, you work on an activity, you rotate around the tables. You know, the kids scope it out. They make a decision based on what activity may be easier. Get the easier ones out of the way. Maybe time will run out. You don't have to work on the harder ones. I'll start at the blue table. That's always easy. Get it out of the way. But when in reality, you don't know what you're getting. You're reaching. You might be overreaching. You're trying to rush a decision. New York and Jacksonville are eager to start over again. That's why it makes sense that they are the first two to hire. You know, you want to get rolling in the right direction immediately. Losing 14, 15 games in a long NFL season is painful, absolutely painful. You get antsy. But we know the reusing and recycling of coaching tree. In this case, neither of these coaches were fired from an NFL team. It's a promotion for both. But this still applies. In Jacksonville, you're taking a calculated risk. One of the best coaches, college coaches of all time, out of retirement to coach a rejuvenated franchise that will have Trevor Lawrence as their quarterback. To me, this is reusing. It's reusing a proven college coach at one of the top 3 college football schools in America. You're eliminating damage and waste. It's the safe pick. A lot of people are excited about it. It's going to be sustainable because he's going to build a culture around a rookie quarterback. You're starting from square one. All you can do is go up. In New York, they're recycling, and here's why. They're going through coach after coach. The front office can't figure it out. You jump to a decision to grab the defensive coordinator of a guy who led his team to a Super Bowl last year. I love Robert Saleh. He's a ball of energy. The team will love him. He's a leader of men, and you know he will have his team ready every Sunday, every weekend on defense. Robert Saleh, great defensive mind, pump-up guy, but can he mold an offense? Can he establish a new offensive approach with Sam Darnold or any other quarterback? That's what New York needs right now. I'm not sure this is the right fit. The Jets need that right now. They need to score points. This is another recycle at MetLife Stadium. You're turning Saleh into a raw, uncut material. You don't know what he can do as a head coach. Used for a brand new product, a product on the field that's questionable. You don't know what you're going to get. It's energy consuming. If it doesn't work, where do you go next? So to me right now, it's a tough, it's weird because the 2 worst teams made the first 2 decisions. They're jumping on it. But I'm not sure if Robert Saleh is the greatest fit right now, and that's why we're going to make the Beyond the Box Score call to the pen, Connor. We're bringing on a guy who's came here before, Frank Vasquez, as he joins us, Jet fan. He's got a lot to say about this. Frank.
What's going on, boys? How are you guys?
How's it going, man? So, Frank, I mean, I just talked about it. Jets jumping to a decision. The first, worst team in the league, they're making the first decision to hire a new coach. 7 teams in the league looking for a coach. They're the first ones to jump on. I don't know. He's a defensive mind. He's a pump-up guy. Is he going to be able to lead a new offense in New York? What are your thoughts?
I think he is, not because of him necessarily. He's bringing in Matt LaFleur's brother, Mike LaFleur. Guys, look what Matt's done with Rodgers over in Green Bay. If LaFleur can come in and do even a tenth of that with Sam Darnold, we have at least the semblance of a starting quarterback. That offense needs more than a coach. They need a lot going on. They need some things in the draft the right way. They need to change the culture. I think Salah is an absolute ball of energy. As I was waiting for you guys to bring me on, I was sitting here hyping myself up, watching videos. I have chills watching this man on the sidelines next to his players, freaking out over every sack, every interception, bringing energy I've not seen since Rex Ryan in this organization. We had Todd Bowles here, who was a walking corpse. There are zombies with more life than Todd Bowles and Adam Gase combined. The 2 of them were a lost cause on opposite ends of the spectrum. Saleh appears to be Rex Ryan with some self-control and a proper diet. I am so excited for this, man. He was my top pick as a head coach. It was him and Doug Peterson, and we got our guy. And I was terrified yesterday when I found out they had a second interview, and this guy was walking out of the door. And they said, no, go take something else. And they called back and said, hey, we messed up. Please come back. Take 5 years. Come be our head coach. And I am ecstatic about it.
So needless to say, you're excited. You're excited. You're ready for this new transition, Frank. But can you base Mike LaFleur off of Matt LaFleur? It's a completely different person. Can this offense be turned around? That's what they need to score points.
we saw flashes of this offense do some really nice things in the last month, 5-6 weeks of the season. The running backs they had, the young guys, when Frank Gore wasn't going out there with the walker running down the field, they showed some progress at a running game. Jameson Crowder was a huge bright spot since this man's been signed. He's been great here. The team has pieces. Do we have to do something in the draft? Of course. Is Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I know they came from the same gene pool. That's a good sign for me. It's a good start. It's more than what we've had. We might see a slant. We might see a passing play beyond the 3 yards down the field. We might see some good things. I'm excited. It's the best part about the offseason is we can't screw it up yet. Right now, we just signed 3 Lombardis in my eyes. Hopefully, in the next 5 years, we see a Super Bowl, and I'm happy. And we're coming back. These guys are geniuses.
Calling a Super Bowl trophy already.
Oh,
Love the
dude,
optimism.
You're killing me. Going back to the all seriousness part of this, so I was just a little skeptical because I like Cole mentioned. I mean, my thought was they would go for more of an offensive minded head coach, someone that can really develop Darnold the way that he should have been developed, the last couple of years instead of just suffering with Adam Gase. But I also kind of see it smart because I mean, Saleh turned that defense into the backbone of that 49ers team, and look how successful they were the last 2 years with, I would say, maybe a mediocre offense with just with good running backs. And if he can do that with the Jets and make them competitive, like mainly on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, it's going to make it a lot easier for the offense in close games. So, I mean, that's where I kind of see it being smart is maybe he can rejuvenate that defense, make them competitive. And who knows? I mean, old adage is defense wins championships. So, I mean, maybe you're right, Frank. Maybe there's a Lombardi trophy in the future.
I hope so, man. I really hope so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would have loved to have Bieniemy here too, but the more I thought about it, being a Jet fan when I've grown up, there's 2 components to really good Jet teams. It's a really good running game and a really, really good defense. And Salah's bringing the really good defense. Now, hopefully in the draft, we get the really good running game. And let's get rock and rolling, boys.
Yeah. So you say that the formula is a good run game and a good defense. It's kind of what we saw with the Mark Sanchez led Jets back in 2009 and 10 or 10 and 11 when they beat New England in New England. What from Robert Saleh can he bring to kind of match that or go above and beyond what you saw back in those teams?
So I think Saleh got to see in San Francisco the formula and the blueprint to a successful offense with maybe less than ideal pieces. I mean, do the Jets have Kittle on their offense? Absolutely not. But he did see you can go and mix and match running backs and get creative with wide receivers and wide receiver screens and bootlegs and things like that to create an offense, which he's able to take from where he's coming from and hopefully bring it to the Jets. Then Mike LaFleur hopefully has some conversations at the dinner table with his brother and talks about, hey, what do you guys do when you guys see this defense? Or what are you guys doing here? What is Aaron Rodgers telling you? And then maybe they can impart some wisdom to Sam Darnold, who's still only, 23 years old, a young quarterback. So we could see some really good things from these 2 molding of the minds coming together. I mean, we're going to have to see what the rest of this coaching staff looks like right now. But so far, so good. I mean, again, time will tell. Right now, everything looks great because we haven't played a football game. The Jets aren't playing again for a couple months. And I'm yet again waiting for a draft and free agency to do something. So,
yeah. Connor, you got something?
No, I was really just I was gonna ask about your opinion on Sam Darnold, but you kind of just gave it.
So Sam Darnold to me, again, as I said last time on the show with you guys, not a huge fan. Didn't want him when we drafted him. Still don't really want him now. Thought processes now, though, has changed. I think you keep him for another year. He's still only 23, 24 years old. He's a young kid. He's our age. Let's see what he can do another year with a couple more draft picks, build the offense up around him. Go get another big, nasty offensive lineman in Sewell or trade back and get Devonta Smith or not Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase from LSU. Get this man some weapons, and let's see what he does. He flops again this year. Hey, Frank was right. Pats myself on the back. Cool. We go get somebody else next year and figure it out. Worst case, if Frank was wrong, this kid goes out and he becomes a Pro Bowler next year with some offensive weapons, and everything's right, and we're looking good and we're all happy.
So I know you want to get out of that kind of hopeless romantic false hope kind of thing where the season starts or you're in the off season, you're like, we're making moves, we're going to be good. For you as a Jets fan, what's the number, what's the amount of games you think is going to be a successful win for next season and Salah's first year as head coach?
So before Adam Gase and Todd Bowles, every Jets head coach had made the playoffs in their first season. So is it playoffs or bust? Obviously not. Buffalo is very good. Miami looked really good. New England had an off year. We'll see what they do. The Jets right now are the worst team in that division. That being said, 5-6 wins shows me improvement. It shows me some life with a new offense again, a brand new defense. They're changing the whole defensive schematics for Salah to come in here. There's gonna be a lot of transition, a lot of new pieces, a lot of moving parts, a lot of new bodies here. I think anywhere from 5 to 7 wins is a great year for the Jets, and then from there, we take it, see what happens. If they win 8, 9 games, hey, maybe we get a wild card to keep the 7-game thing going. Hope for the best.
And something I've always said is, if you look at your division, you have to have one of the best quarterbacks in your division. If you're at the division, you have the 4th worst quarterback, it's going to be a long couple of years. So where do you place right now? Say Tua, there's talks that Tua might be on the move. What if Miami brings in Deshaun Watson? Then you're going to have Sam Darnold behind a Josh Allen, a Deshaun Watson, and who knows who ends up in New England. So if you look at it like that, how much of a stride does Sam Darnold need to make this year alone in order to compete in that regard?
I think Sam Darnold has to be under 8 turnovers for next season for starters. Before we talk at any other number, he has to be under 8 turnovers, and he has to play all 16. Those 2 numbers are paramount for him. Almost every season he's had so far, he's looked great in the back 9, or the back half of his season, I should say. It's the starting gate. It's like this guy has his almost like syllabus week for us when we were back in school. His first couple of weeks, he kind of just drags butt behind himself and goes, all right, well, I'll just do whatever happens here happens. Then all of a sudden he starts to figure it out as the season goes on. He needs to start fast and finish strong. Then hopefully, is he going to be the best quarterback in this division? Probably not. Josh Allen stays playing the way he's playing. The guy's a perennial MVP candidate. Tua and Fitzpatrick, if one of them figured out, if they do bring in Deshaun Watson, we're going maybe 3rd, maybe 4th if Cam Newton stays there and figures it out and becomes a passer again. So I can't see him throwing for 70 yards and staying in New England. So we got to see him be a competent quarterback first. I'm not asking for him to be a Pro Bowler or an MVP. I want to see him be almost how Ryan Tannehill is in Tennessee. Let's see him be a guy that can dominate the play action, hand the ball off, and cut down on turnovers. And Jet fans, I think I can speak for all of us, would be ecstatic to see that. To see this a competent offense that can move down the field, game manage the game, and let the defense win the game, and us just almost stay on the field with the offense.
Anything else, Connor? Got anything for Frank?
I want to hear Frank's picks for this weekend.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
The ball rolling here.
We wanna get your thoughts. We're gonna go through them, locking our picks for the weekend. We have a few guys we asked get their scores and predictions. So Frank, I'm just gonna run them through. Green Bay home against the LA Rams. What do you got for a score?
Score-wise, I got Green Bay by 2 scores. I know Aaron Donald came back off the injured list this week. I'm not scared of Aaron Donald this week, and neither is Aaron Rodgers. Give him 2 scores, 28-14, Green Bay.
All right. On to Buffalo and Baltimore.
This game, it's an absolute coin flip for me, in all honesty. The only reason I'm picking Buffalo, went to school up in Buffalo with you guys. Give me Buffalo by a field goal, 27-24.
Outstanding. All right. And then we got, of course, Kansas City and the red hot Cleveland Browns.
So I know the spread's big on this game. I don't care. Give me Baker in any game, any day of the week, and twice on Sunday. This man, by a touchdown, 28-21. Call my shot now. Baker goes for 350 and 2 touchdowns.
Oh, 350. All right. Well, here's the thing. I'm all in. I think you take +10 Cleveland all day long.
Absolutely.
+10. I'm not sure about the win for Cleveland, but I like the bold take. I love it, Frank. Last one. I think it's going to be very interesting. You got great story. Brady and Breeze. Who do you got in New Orleans? Tampa Bay and New Orleans.
Again, I'm taking the road dog here. Give me Tampa Bay. No one's beaten Tom Brady 3 times in a season in his career. It's not starting this year. Brady by 10. Give me 30-20. New Orleans can't hang on.
Love it. See, I know Connor and I are calling for shootouts. You're keeping New Orleans all the way down to 20, huh?
I don't want to spoil it. I think Tampa Bay and New Orleans has all the makings of a shootout.
I would think so too. I got some question marks right now still with Michael Thomas's health. I know he played well last week. If he's not there, Lattimore gets to go to the other side of the field. I think Tampa Bay's defense is going to be aggressive as hell. I think the offense with Tampa Bay is going to run the ball and do whatever they want against that front seven in New Orleans.
All right. You heard it here. Frank's picks.
I love it.
Green Bay, Buffalo, Cleveland, and Tampa Bay. And before we let you go, Frank, one last question. So Jets nailed down their head coach. Jacksonville gets Urban Meyer coming back out of retirement from Ohio State. What do you think about that real quick?
I can't believe it. Urban Meyer, this man has retired and come back more times than anybody I know in my life. This man is retired over stress, wanting the vacation and everything else. More power to him. I hope one day in life I see the kind of money this guy does to do half a job. It is absolutely incredible.
Agreed. All right, Frank. Thank you so much for joining us.
Take care, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show.
We enjoy your Jets intake. So have a good one, bud.
Yep, you guys too.
So that was our Beyond the Box Score call to the pen. Thank you to Frank for joining us. He's very excited for Robert Saleh coming in.
He was on another level today. I mean, Frank's normally has like that kind of laid back like persona, but no, he's fired up. So I'm happy for him. Hopefully, I mean, it would be a lot. It's a lot more interesting, especially because I have so many people in my life that are Jets fans rather than Patriots or Dolphins fans. So my life is a lot more fun when we can kind of smack talk back and forth with Bills and Jets. So life is better when the Jets are competitive. Yeah. Don't like ripping on them as much when they're bad. So I feel bad. I have a guilty conscience. I'm a genuine human being.
Yeah, well, he's excited. He's watching pump-up videos before he gets on camera. All right. Well, that being said, that's going to transition us into our picks. Connor, we made our early picks early on in the week. It seems to be we have a little bit of variations, mostly the same. We have a couple differences maybe in score, but I'm going to let you take this one away. Let's run us through the 4 games, your analysis, and your final score.
All right, yeah, so I kind of jumped around a little bit, but we're just going to start with the AFC, and we're going to start with Buffalo versus Baltimore. All right, in Buffalo, kind of briefly ran over it on Tuesday, but I'm going to say it again. But Baltimore is built to handle man coverage on the defensive side of the ball and get pressure on the quarterback. And the two things that the Bills excel at is beating man coverage and Josh Allen extending plays and avoiding pressure. So, I mean, you look at guys like John Brown, Stephon Diggs, and Cole Beasley. They are all excellent route runners, able to get away from man coverage, single coverage, and just being able to find gaps in the defense to be able to go out and make plays. But this is, again, like we're talking about the storylines, this is just an exciting matchup for football fans, not just Bills fans and Ravens fans, but because Frank said it best. It could go with a flip of a coin, and I think it could go in any direction. The Bills could let Lamar find every hole in every lane and then also open up the passing game, but then they could also completely frustrate the former MVP and pressure him into making mistakes. The Ravens could also shut down the Bills' offense and make for a bad day on offense for Allen and company. However, the Bills could also go off and put up 40 plus. And personally, I think this is going to come down with who's more prepared. Is Harbaugh going to have the Ravens more prepared, or is McDermott and company going to have the Bills more prepared? And I understand that the easy pick here would 110% be Harbaugh. You got more experience, especially playoff experience as a head coach. But I think with the way the Bills have prepared for each and every team this year, and it has made them on a completely different level. From the offensive side to the defensive side, their game plans for every team this year has been great. Especially you want to think about that Week 17 game where you played second and third strings the majority of the game. They had answers for everything. They had answers for Indy's defense last week. The game plan was good. Was it executed perfectly? No, but the game plan was good. But I do think for the most part that it will be relatively high scoring. I'm sticking with that. Like I said on last show, and you can't really go against the Bills right now because Allen has that Mahomes effect. You simply cannot bet against him because he's playing Mahomes level football right now. Am I super confident they're going to win? Like, am I 110% confident the Bills are going to win? No. But I wouldn't, if I was a betting man, I would not bet against the Bills because he has that Mahomes effect, because he's playing Patrick Mahomes level football. And the defense has been great. And I think for the most part, they can frustrate Lamar, limit him as much as possible. And last year, everyone wants to talk about the matchup last year. Baltimore won 24-17 in the regular season, but it was the only time all year that Lamar Jackson was held under the 200 total yards. And to me, that means something. So they'll be ready. I think they'll be ready for Lamar Jackson. But also last year, it was a completely different Josh Allen. He was horrendous. And he's a completely different player this year. He was 17 of 39 last year against the Ravens with 146 yards passing. Last thing that I want to talk about, excuse me, is a little tail of the tape here, because it is a very intriguing matchup. And I know a lot of the national media is really, really kind of sticking with Baltimore right now. And people will go on and they'll bring up the Bills. And to me, it's more of like, when they talk about the Bills, it's like this, it's like, it's like they have to, where it's like they don't want to and they don't believe it, but they see what's going on in Buffalo, and it's almost like it's like pity, like they're doing it because they feel like they have to. But tell the tape, passing yards on the offensive side of the ball for Buffalo, 288 passing yards per game. That is good enough for third in the NFL. Rushing yards, 107 per game, 20th in the NFL. Points per game, 31.3, second in the NFL. Turnovers on the offensive side, they've turned the ball over 22 times, not good, 20th in the NFL. Baltimore on offense. This is where it gets kind of fun. Passing yards per game for Baltimore, last in the league with 171. But rushing yards, 192, first in the NFL. Points per game, 29.3, seventh in the NFL. And they've only turned the ball over 18 times, which is tied for ninth, which is good. And what do the Bills do? What do they excel at as well? Is takeaways. They actually have 26 this year, and that is third in the NFL. Do I think they could take the ball away from Lamar? Yes. Back to the defensive side, Buffalo, 232 yards or passing yards allowed per game, 13th, 120 rushing yards allowed, 17th, and 23.4 points allowed, 16th. So who has the edge? Everyone talks about the Baltimore defense. The numbers back it up. 221 passing yards per game, 6th. 108 rushing yards per game, 8th. 18.9 points allowed per game, 2nd, with 22 takeaways. So a lot of different things kind of balance out to make this such an even matchup. But I think the one thing that really sticks out, and it'll stick out to anybody, is the passing yards per game on the offensive side of the ball for Baltimore. To beat the Bills, you have to do everything right. And if they can't throw the ball on Saturday, they're not going to win. And I am not confident that Lamar Jackson could throw the ball on Buffalo secondary. Am I confident that he can run the ball? Yes. But you're not going to be able to beat the Bills by just running the ball. You need to be able to pass the ball effectively too. And I don't think that's going to happen. So my final prediction is I do think it's going to be relatively high scoring. It's going to be a one-score game, but Buffalo's going to win 31-27. And my even more bold take is it's going to be sealed with a takeaway by the Bills to end the game. Moving on. Kansas City versus Cleveland. Brought to my attention on Tuesday that Kansas City was one of the worst teams in the regular season against the run, which is why I really enjoy Frank's hot take of the 350 yards. What did he say? 2 touchdowns for Baker. Really enjoyed that, but I think that this is really going to be dominated by the run game if Cleveland does win. But coming off first round bye, Kansas City should be energized, ready to go. But I think a lot of people are also chalking this one up. I mean, not Frank. Frank's heavily backing up Cleveland here, but I think a lot of people are chalking it up as an easy one for Kansas City, and it's just a gimme. But I think it's going to be close, and especially with the way that Cleveland has been playing, this was actually a really tough pick for me. But again, you can't pick against Mahomes. It's simple logic. All right, I think one little mistake from Cleveland will be the deciding factor of this game, whether it be a pick, a fumble, a miscue on defense. It'll be a one-score game. I'm sticking with my final prediction from Tuesday, 32-28, Kansas City wins. Moving on to the NFC. New Orleans versus Tampa Bay. Shootout. My take. I hope for it too. There's nothing more I would like to see besides the Bills win than Drew Brees and Tom Brady going shot for shot with each other, especially because we don't know if we're going to see them play each other ever again. I would love to see that. I think it would be great for all of us that grew up watching him, even the older ones that were heavily invested in watching football still too, and big fans of the league. But breaking it down a little bit, the Tampa Bay defense is a little suspect to me, and New Orleans has had down weeks this year on defense, even though they're one of the best units in the NFL. But man, Brees versus Brady in January, I think that right there should spell shootout. If we get one, hold on to your butts because it's going to be a classic. In terms of matchups, the Tampa Bay offense is nasty, and I think definitely has the upper hand right now. And the New Orleans offense is, to me, better than the Tampa Bay defense, who, yes, at times have played stellar, but I think especially if Sean Payton, who I think is going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at Arians and the Bucs, could get the upper hand, because I expect Taysom Hill to get a lot of work in because Tampa Bay struggled in containing Heineke on the ground last week. It just makes sense to me. And fun fact, Tampa Bay is just the 6th team to make it as far as the divisional round when hosting a Super Bowl. They'd also just be the 2nd team to make it to the conference championship if they win. And if they went all the way, they'd be the 1st team to host a Super Bowl at their home venue while participating in it. But anyway, I still like the Bucs. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be a shootout, also a one score game. I'm taking Tampa Bay 48-44. And last but not least, we got Green Bay versus the Rams. So first, if you haven't heard yet, John Wolford has been ruled out with a neck injury for this matchup, and Goff is officially starting. So I like LA, but I also do not like LA. And I don't like LA because of the situation with Jared Goff. I'm not normally a guy who thinks too much about weather, which is why I didn't even mention it with the Bills, because they're calling for snow. But unless it's a repeat of the snow game like the Colts and the Bills had a couple years back, it's not a huge factor to me, or if it's heavy downpour. But Goff is fresh off of a thumb surgery. He didn't look comfortable throwing the ball at all last week. And you want to know a bad combination with pain? The cold. Everything stiffens up in the cold. It hurts more. Everything is more sensitive. You don't have as strong of a grip. Something you kind of need to have to throw a football. So they're playing in Green Bay. The temperature right now is supposed to be around 30. I don't like that combination for the Rams. However, Sean McVay is a genius and can game plan for any situation, and I feel like he can work around it slightly, but I don't have all that trust in Cam Akers to be able to carry the majority of the load for this offense and being able to work around Green Bay. The only thing that makes me optimistic for the Rams is their defense against Rodgers, because the Rams, I mean, we all knew they had a good defense, but this is one of the first time I actually looked at the numbers in the rankings, and it's just absurd. The number 1 team in the NFL in passing yards allowed per game with only 190 passing yards per game. That's absurd. The number 3 team in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game with 91. And the number 1 team in the NFL in points allowed with 18.5. So again, if there's any team that could slow down Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, it's LA. But I still think it's not going to be enough because LA is not going to be able to get it done on the offensive side of the ball. I'm taking Green Bay in a very low scoring affair, another 1-score game, 21-17 Green Bay.
All right, there you have it. Connor's picks.
So now I'm going to kick back and listen to your picks.
All right, here we go. I'm not sure if Connor are going to be entirely surprised / happy with me. I'm not sure. Here we go. All right, so on Tuesday, I stuck with Buffalo, a 24-21 final score in Orchard Park. I said there would be at least one road team that'll win this weekend, and I made that team Tampa Bay, but I also said there may be 2 teams winning on the road. Here's what I see in this game. I see a back-and-forth affair, like shot for shot, not high scoring, not a shootout, but, defensive stops, turnovers, touchdown. It's going to be a lot like the Buffalo-Indianapolis game. Baltimore might go up early. Bills will battle back, go up, take the lead at some point. But here's where the narrative changes. The Bills have relied so heavily on Josh Allen to be their savior. The way their offense works, Allen is being forced to make plays that a lot of other quarterbacks in this league can't make, which on one hand makes me want to take Buffalo. My whole life, I have gone with a better quarterback in the playoffs. I went with Tom Brady. I went with Peyton Manning. I went with Russell Wilson. Last year, Patrick Mahomes. The thing that worries me is Buffalo is their ability to run the football when it matters. They have to be able to pick up a 3rd and short. They have to be able to pick up a first down late to milk the clock at the end of the game. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs can only put on their Superman capes for so long. It's been long enough. They are in the divisional round of the playoffs. They did it last week, and they snuck by. With Buffalo's inability to run the football effectively, Baltimore will take time of possession. That'll be theirs in their favor, and they'll get a couple of late scores, and they're going to win this game. It's a gut feeling I've had all week, and I would be remiss not to take the Baltimore Ravens this weekend. And the history of football playoffs tells me this. I'm a sucker for stories. I love the feel good. I love the rising up. The greater story here is Buffalo. Buffalo not winning 1 but 2 playoff games and getting a shot at an AFC title. but sometimes those stories don't always live up to its potential, and the villain comes out on top. In this case, the hero falls, the villain prevails in a tough battle, and probably the best game of the weekend. Like you and Frank said, it's a flip of the coin. I just have to go against you here, Connor, and I got to take Baltimore with probably a last-second field goal and taking this one 24-23. On to the Kansas City and Cleveland. Cleveland is playing some of the best football in the league right now, scoring 48 points on the road last week and shocking the world was just the beginning. Again, the history of the NFL playoffs tells me that Kansas City is limping into the playoffs after a rough month in December. It was not the team that we've seen in the past. They've won games, but not convincingly. I saw it in the 2008 New York Giants. Coming off a Super Bowl, had the best team in the league through the first 12 weeks. They fell off at the end in the final month and then lost in the divisional game after a bye at home, scoring only 11 points. I'm not saying Kansas City is going to fall off that badly and lose. In fact, I still have Kansas City winning this game. But that Vegas line is still sitting at plus 10. Minus 10 in favor of Kansas City, plus 10 for Cleveland. I'm not sure why. If you're playing this, take Cleveland plus 10 all day. Frank mentioned it earlier. He's taking Cleveland straight up. I got to go Cleveland plus 10 here. Yes, Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, Patrick Mahomes have an extra week to prepare. That could be scary in itself. They could explode. But what's also scary is Mahomes and some starters not being on the field for 3 weeks. No game time, no action for 3 weeks. They could come out shaky, and Cleveland is scorching hot and coming in with a huge chip on their shoulder. Nobody thinks they can win. Very few do. But that plus 10 spread is a star in the sky that we're looking at if you're a betting man. Still, though, I got to take Kansas City here. I'm going to shift the score just a little bit, give Cleveland another point. I got 34-27 Kansas City. Setting up Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson AFC title game. On to the NFC. Connor calls for a shootout. I also call for a shootout. Like I said earlier this week, I can't go against Tampa Bay in this one. The cards have aligned for Tom Brady in this one. If they're playing any other team, I think Tampa Bay probably falls short. But the cards have fallen right. Getting a third shot at New Orleans is a diamond in the rough. Beating a team of this caliber 3 times in one season is unheard of. Beating Tom Brady 3 times in a season is unheard of. Hasn't happened before. Once again, it's a loaded roster on the road with something to prove. It's Tom Brady saying, I'm not done. It's Bruce Arians saying he finally wants to be on top as a head coach. It's a young defense saying that they can be a part of the first great defense to come in Tampa for years to come. New Orleans has an amazing roster up and down. Drew Brees finally has Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara healthy together for the first time this year. It's made out to be a shootout in NOLA. But the Saints have a history of losing these games. And 2 that I can point out, championship caliber teams, they let them slip away. The Minneapolis Miracle in Minnesota, losing at home to the Rams 2 years ago. The following year. Those are Super Bowl teams, and they couldn't get it done. They may have missed their window. And Drew Brees' final run, potentially, I have to take Tom Brady over Drew Brees in their potential final matchup. I got Tampa Bay winning this one 38-34. And finally, on to Lambeau. A Green Bay blowout is written all over this, Connor. I mean, Jared Goff with one thumb, it's hurt. You mentioned it. The Rams are going from playing in sunny California in SoFi Stadium to a cold Lambeau Field. They won't be comfortable. Aaron Rodgers has been waiting for this moment for a long time. He's in an MVP year with great weapons. He has a solid enough defense, and Aaron Rodgers is not going away without another ring, and the Rams are in his way. Here's my only if. If the Rams can pound the run, keep Goff at an absolute minimum, use the play action when necessary, keep Green Bay on its heels, they will keep this game close with a chance to win it late. Their defense is incredible. Connor gave you the numbers. If there's any defense to stop Aaron Rodgers, it'll be the LA Rams. It's credible. They have an opportunity to keep it a manageable game if they bring pressure on Aaron Rodgers, make him uncomfortable. It's not easy to do that, but if you can do it minimally, you're looking good. Jalen Ramsey can only do so much covering Devontae Adams. This will come down to the defensive backs in the slot, helping over top in nickel coverage, and the ability to be able to make one-on-one tackles. You got to be able to bring Aaron Jones down when Aaron Rodgers flips it to him out of the backfield. Got to make plays. I think LA keeps this close, and they have a chance to win it in the fourth quarter. But I think what you're going to see is they'll fail to score, and Green Bay is going to ice it with a late touchdown, make it a 2-score game. So my final prediction, Green Bay 28-17 for the Rams, 28-17 in Lambeau. Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers on to the NFC title game. And that's that. Connor and Cole's scores and predictions locked in. We're locking them in. Are you locking yours in?
Might have been locked in.
They've been locked in. I had to make one small change, and I'm sorry to you, Connor. It's Baltimore.
I told you, I'm not a fan. I mean, it's going to be an
Give me
intense
Buffalo.
game. It's going to be a battle for sure. It really can just be a flip of a coin. I mean, I'm confident in the Bills. It's just anything can happen in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's a whole different animal.
Yeah. And like I said, I feel like the Superman capabilities can only last so long. And if they're forcing Josh Allen to make those crazy plays again, and Stephon Diggs being the hero every time, they have to be able to show they can run the ball and get rid of this game. If not, they're going to get stopped, give the ball back to Lamar Jackson late, and they're going to get a game-winning field goal. That's how I feel it in my stomach finishing. But I just need to let Connor, you, and all Bills Mafia know I'm behind you. I love the story. I want the Bills to win. But we can't always go on that. Sorry. All right. So real quick before we move on, we had some input from guys we've had on our show before. We got to throw these in here real quick. So Kyle Powell, Connor, he texted you. He's got Green Bay, Buffalo, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay prevailing. Our man, Andrew Parks, he's been on a couple of times. He's taking Green Bay 38-17. He's taking Kansas City to beat Cleveland 41-27. He has Buffalo winning 31-24. And he has the Saints winning 34-31. So Parks going against us in the Tampa Bay and New Orleans game. Let's move on to Paul Barker. Mr. Paul Barker, he's got Green Bay also up 28-17, same score I had. Buffalo winning at home 31-28. Kansas City winning 24-14. And he also has New Orleans winning 27-20. James Mr. He's got the LA Rams winning in Lambeau 23-17. That might be the upset pick of the week. He's got Buffalo. Oh, not a close game here. James has Buffalo winning 27-10. 3-score win over Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. He's got Kansas City winning 34-24. And he also not only has New Orleans winning, but by a score of 42-28, a 2-touchdown score. So, Connor, we got 3 guys here taking New Orleans and beating Tom Brady for the 3rd time. And then lastly, we got 2 more here. Steve Hostinsky's been on the show before. Our man from Michigan, Detroit Lions fan. He's got Green Bay winning 28-13. And Steve's the only one jumping on my train here. He has Baltimore winning 31-30, a 1-point shootout. He has this one close too. Kansas City only beating Cleveland 24-21. And then he has Tampa Bay winning in New Orleans 35-28. And then lastly, my good old friend from Newhouse at Syracuse, Juan Pablo Guarin Camargo. He's got Green Bay winning 24-10, Buffalo winning 23-16. Oh boy, here's the upset. He's got Cleveland winning 34-24 in Kansas City. That might be bolder than LA winning at Lambeau. And then he's got Tampa Bay winning 34-24 in New Orleans. So A little deviation to the score there, Connor. We got 3 guys holding on to New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that I mean, I know it's a good matchup, but I mean, it's good to have a little bit of a difference of opinion. But I think definitely the shocker here is still that we had 2 people pick Cleveland. I think
Yep.
that's the biggest shocker to me.
Yep.
Because honestly, all these other games I think could go either way. But I think if there's one that's as close to being like a comfortable pick, yeah, it's going to be Kansas City and Cleveland. And we actually had a couple pick Cleveland, so I mean, it's good for the brand.
It is. Those are our Beyond the Box Score correspondents, our side reporters that we bring in here to talk some football every now and again. But that being said, picks are all locked in for this weekend. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow. NFL Divisional Round starts. But we're going to wrap it up here for Beyond the Box Score here on a Friday. And Connor, take it away. We got our last call here to wrap this thing up.
Last call. All right. So there's too many times in this world, I mean, whether it's football or whether it's just life, I mean, that we don't appreciate greatness when it's happening. Instead, we wait until after it's passed to really kind of truly appreciate it and give it its the credit it deserves. And it's something that's been a stigma in society for the longest time. People will hate on greatness, they'll hate on success, whether it be for a logical reason to them or not. But it's something that as a society we need to break from. Now, there's a quote from a song from one of my favorite artists. His name is Russ. And he says, "I want roses when I'm living, not just roses when I die." Meaning, give me the credit that I deserve and show appreciation for me now, not when I'm dead or when I'm gone. So we have 2 of the best quarterbacks of our generation going head to head in a divisional round matchup this weekend. And it's something that as a fan, we should enjoy. Except there's going to be people who watch that game strictly, bless you, strictly to root against Tom Brady. Now, if there's anyone in the world that should hate Tom Brady, I should be one of them. If there's anybody in the world that should be rooting against Tom Brady and watching that game this weekend to root against Tom Brady, I should be one of them. Did I or do I even despise him a little still for the havoc that he wreaked in the AFC East for nearly 2 decades? Hell yeah. But I'll be the first one to tell you that we will never have another Tom Brady in this lifetime. He's a winner, a gamer, an unreal competitor, and we will never see someone exceed for so long and win as much as he did. The only person I could think that even comes close to that in the near future will be Patrick Mahomes having a slight shot, but he still won't be Tom Brady. Yes, you can hate him. You can dislike him because he was a Patriot. You can dislike him for the way that he played with a little bit of arrogance, that cocky arrogance. Well, that's something that I like, and that's something even with the kids that I coach now in baseball, I kind of preach, because you need to have that cocky arrogance, because that just shows that you have belief in yourself and your abilities. You kind of need to have that mindset that you are better than everybody else, but you don't really want to show it too much. And I don't think he did. Yeah, you could hate him for the antics he did off the field. You could hate him for every single scandal that happened with the Patriots and himself. But he's still great. He's one of the best to ever do it. And his career is coming to a close. Lining up across from him is Drew Brees. And I know that there's some people, whether it be the casual fan or whether it be the really hardcore fan, who will back by this. But I know a lot of people who hear that name and think he isn't in the same category as Brady, just because Brady has more rings. But these two have been in a teeter-totter match for most passing yards and TDs and almost every single passing record for years now, for what feels like years. They're 2 of the best to ever do it. We grew up watching them. We might not ever see the same 2 QBs like this ever again. This matchup is like Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold versus The Rock, Jeter versus Pedro, McDavid versus Matthews or Eichel, Holyfield versus Tyson. The list goes on and on. It is an instant classic, or at least it should be. Most likely will be. We won't know till after. Well, this is one that's supposed to be a long rant. Just a statement that we're going to be watching 2 generational talents go head-to-head in the playoffs. Just let it sink in, watch and enjoy the game. And I understand if you're maybe a Saints fan or a Bucs fan, or maybe you're betting on the game, yeah, you're going to root for a certain team, but just enjoy it. Enjoy that we have 2 of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game going head-to-head at the back end of their careers. Whether they look like that they're in their prime again this weekend, or if they look like the 40-year-old version of themselves that they actually are in present day, it'll still be must-watch television, and we need to appreciate it because we don't know if a matchup like this will ever happen again. Last call.
Take a bow. I love it. I love it. And that's something I've been trying to push on myself and tell others, especially in the last few years. And I said it the other day with the change in history we're seeing in the NFL right now, and the shift from older players to the newer players. all the guys that we grew up watching, their careers are coming to a close, and it's on to a new era of football. And I try to enjoy every single football game I get to sit down and watch. And I'm 100% with you, Connor. I'm going to enjoy this one. You know me, I've been a huge Brady advocate for years. And he's in a new uniform, and he's playing a Drew Brees, who I've also been a huge advocate for years. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for, shedding that light on us. And some people need to hear that. So that was good. I love it.
For sure.
Got to enjoy it. Things we won't see much. So that's it, though. Connor, thanks for taking us home. That was your last call, and this is Friday night on the Beyond the Box Score. Hey, breaking news before we head. It just came across my phone. The Falcons have agreed to terms with Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith to become their new head coach. So there's the third slot filled, and he's going to Atlanta. So think about that for a second, and we got football this weekend. Connor said it earlier, one more sleep, and we got the divisional round. That'll do it for us here at Beyond the Box Score. Thank you for joining, however you may be listening or watching. Thank you to Frankie Vasquez for coming on our Beyond the Box Score call to the pen. And watch some football this weekend. See who's right or wrong. Connor, it was a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
See you later. Have a great one, everyone.